Up next on Inside ChampCar, going over to the dark side. Up next on Inside ChampCar, going over to the dark side. Welcome to Inside ChampCar. I'm Brian Bielanski. Our guest this evening is, actually, the guy above me is Bill Strong again. We're back in the proper world order, Bill.
Yeah, well, wait, I heard an echo. Or was you just messing with me again?
I wish I was smart enough to do it on purpose, but I didn't do it on purpose.
Sorry, because I'm on a different setup, of course, so.
Okay. I think we're good now.
Okay, yeah, looks good.
Yeah, echo should be gone. Anyway, welcome to the show, Adam.
Well, thank you.
And
appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Talking a little bit of racing here. You know, I stole the words from your mouth because you said it, that you have gone to the dark side. You started where everyone else should start, and that would be, you know, with the Volkswagen, and then you moved away. But you had a weird stop in the middle. We're going to talk about that in the middle in a second. But before we do that,
he's with TATR Racing, right?
It's Tater, but it's for Triangle Auto and Truck. My dad had a company, has the company, and it's a auto repair shop, and so he's done a lot with the racing part of this. So it's kind of for him.
Yeah,
cool.
So we start every show the same way. If you've watched, you'll know. If you hadn't, well, this is your fault for not watching. How did you get mixed up with this crazy sport that we all love?
Well, growing up, we were farmers, so we had in the backyard. When I was born, he kind of got away from farming, and so we used the fields for dirt tracking. We had a figure 8 track in the back.
Nice.
My brother and I both had Ford Escorts, and we just demolition derby back in the backyard, get stuck, somebody come pull us out, and keep on going. So
I'm guessing you're not from New York City.
I am not. No.
Yeah.
No.
Where was this?
It's in Cary, North Carolina.
Okay.
So yep.
Nothing happens in Cary, North Carolina, right?
No, we never moved, but we moved into Cary. So yeah, it came to us.
Where is Cary for those of us who might not be familiar?
There's a lot of NASCAR
right outside
stuff.
of Raleigh.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of NASCAR stuff out there.
Not too far from us, yeah. A little bit south.
Absolutely. So how did that transition into getting onto an actual racetrack from messing around in the backyard of the farm?
My brother.
Okay.
So my brother had one of the companies we do business with came up and asked my brother if he wanted to race. And he said, well, let's go check it out. So we went to Rockingham and watched ChampCar. I think it was in 2009 when they ran at Rockingham.
Yeah. Yep. No, 2010.
8, 9, 10?
Yeah.
Something like
10.
that. Somewhere right there. Yeah. We watched Sanford and Sons going around Rockingham and said, we got to do it. So he jumped in. They bought a dirt track car. It was a Pontiac Grand Am.
Okay.
Made it a total of 12 laps, I think, at VIR South with 100 cars on the track, I think, the first time.
That was that wasn't the 24 because we only had like 20 something.
It was before the 20. It was before the 24.
Okay.
You were in the paddock working on an MR2, I believe.
That never happened.
Oh, well, we got to 4 minutes. Thank you, Adam.
It wasn't me.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
Drink, everyone at home, drink.
Oh, wait, that was the second year for the 24 there, right? We were on South Course?
That was our second race, was the one where they changed over to full course, South Course, full course.
Yeah. We were on South Course the first. I mean, we paddocked in the South Course, and then we did the South Course, and then overnight they went to the full course.
Right.
So, of course, none of us had ever run on full course before, so we had no clue where we were going or where we were at, which was really, and it was dark. Picture VAR.
I never made it to dark. It was 2 hours. The motor blew up. Well, the first one was 12 minutes. Second one was about 2 hours, and the motor let go again. So Pontiac Grand Ams weren't the thing.
So if you're from North Carolina, and in Raleigh, you're on the doorstep of NASCAR country. What made you not go and put a a beer stocker at Bowman Gray or something on one of those little local bull rings and go to ChampCar first, or ChampCar at the time, I guess.
Well, we weren't allowed to race growing up,
Oh.
so mom wouldn't allow it. And so once we were old enough to actually do it ourselves is when we jumped in and did it.
Did you
And
do the Andretti way, which was not tell her what you were doing?
I did
Or is
not
that
tell her
or
I
you
was
can't?
doing it. No, my brother told her he was doing it, but when I didn't do it right out the gate, I was 2 races later. I started after they bought the XFed car. So.
Oh, they bought the XFed car. That was from
Yeah.
Phil, right? Yeah.
Yep. So we bought that right after they won the 24. We found the car that did the best and went and found something like it, and he wanted to sell it, and we bought it. And that was how we got into Volkswagens, which is a long, painful story, but it was fun. We learned a lot on Volkswagens.
Let me tell you about that car. We're the first 24-hour race at VIR, where we'd done enough Lemons races to know that get to the gate first, you'll usually end up out on track at the start. So we did. We were first in line and got out there for the pace laps. And John said 75% race speed under yellow, and I did that. And I just remember coming around Oak Tree, and he was just screaming at the top of his lungs with hands waving like, slow down. And I look in the mirror. It's like, where is everybody? He said do 75% race speed. That's what I'm doing. But I guess that was too fast for him. And we went around one more time. I waited, everybody else caught up, and the green flag dropped as I approached the start tower, and I'm pretty certain XFed passed us from midfield before we got to turn one. I mean, he just screamed by my little MR2, and that car was so freaking fast. Ended up winning the race. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was fun. It was on rails. So it took a while to learn how to drive it. Once you did, you can go somewhere in it.
So did you basically look for that type of car and ask the XFed guys, what's a good, how the best way to do it is? And they basically said the best way to do it would be to buy our car?
I wasn't part of that part. I came on once they bought it. So they showed up in the shop parking lot with it on the trailer. And so I don't know exactly how they ended up with it, but once we had it, I was all into it and knew every part of it and how to get it going. So I was the one who was pushing to make it faster, which going faster makes it break. So we always were chasing the next thing to allow us to keep on track.
So that was like 15 years ago. So were you in high school or?
I was in college. So I was a sophomore in college. So something like that.
So tons of money went to the racing instead of college.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you're still paying for that race race car now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't have. I spent my money in college in the liquid form, so I would not have had the money to go racing in college. So, tons of fun there. So, how long did you race that Volkswagen?
Probably until maybe 2015, somewhere around there.
Okay.
I would say we totaled it. We bought out the other party right before AMP, and then we went to the AMP duels, and the renter put it in the wall and totaled it, and so we were left with a box of parts, and that's kind of when we started with the next Volkswagen we built.
So you did another Volkswagen before you went to the Probe.
I did not learn my lesson, so I was stubborn, and
right.
Everybody was out there racing BMWs and Hondas and doing really well, and I wanted to do something nobody else was doing, and so I started building the Mark III Volkswagen. It was a Golf. Started building it, and in the meantime, the guys who we bought out had bought a Ford Probe, and so I raced with them for probably 2 years while I built the.
And who was that? Was that the guy that what was his name? Was it White?
Junior? Yeah, it was White. Yeah. So it was Empty Pockets was the team name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we started out as Junior Johnson Racing, and then we moved over to TATR Racing. And then they went to Empty Pockets, and then we went to Turbo Tater, and now we're back to Tater because we don't have a turbo car.
Got
I
it.
think
So,
if it's the same team, I think the owner works for an oil company there in North Carolina.
hmm yeah.
Yeah, my daughter had this. My
services
daughter
stuff.
had this absolutely huge crush on him, like stalked him and everything when she was like 13 or 14. It was pretty. It was pretty funny.
So before we
Yeah.
get to the Pro, what Volkswagens were those two models? Tim is asking in the chat.
It was a Mark II GLI and a Mark III Golf.
Okay, cool. And those were so bulletproof too, right? No issues with those ever.
Yeah. Well, the Mark II transmissions were glass. They would break right regular. And that was what kept us out of racing on those most of the time. The Mark
Okay.
III, the hubs went bad, and we had a turbo motor in it, so we had to deal with heat. And so we ended up with water injection on it to keep it cool.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't allow methanol. For some reason, they didn't like an invisible flame in the cockpit.
I don't
guess.
understand that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ray's like going, no, please no, please don't.
I know a lot of the MR2 guys used windshield washer fluid.
They wouldn't let it. I tried to work that loophole, and they
I
said
kind of remember
methanol
something
was in
like
there.
that. Yeah, I remember something like that being spoken about on the forums or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bought some methanol because I was like, well, it's the same thing. So I bought methanol to make my own windshield washer fluid, and we did testing on it, and it still catches on fire no matter how much you dilute it. So we weren't allowed to race it. And,
Well, back then we know that guys were making rocket fuel too, because I remember the chatter along the pad or the pit lane, just some of that crazy fuel stuff. You know, I forget what they put in rocket fuel, but it was kind of carcinogenic. Had a
kind of
little bit of a smell to it, yeah. And some turbos were lasting for some reason, which normally they don't. So, but yeah, once they got,
we injected 5 gallons of water every 2 hours to keep everything, because of liquid cooled turbo, to keep everything cool. We were injecting 5 gallons of water, and it was a lot, but it made it live.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah. But it was fast. I mean, down the straightaway, there wasn't anything to outrun us down the straightaway.
Sounded so good, though.
Yeah, it did. Yep.
Yep.
So what was
11 hours later, we'd put a wheel bearing on, and so that was kind of a bad thing. It kept you from winning anything.
So what was attractive about the Probe when that was the decision you guys made to go to that car?
Was it Riley?
Well, yeah, it was. I think they bought it from. I can't remember the name of the team they bought it from, but it had won. That one had won a 24-hour race, I think, too. So, but it wasn't the Boom Powell Surprise.
No,
it was the other one.
There was a short stint there when the Probe was the go-to car. That little V6 was just insanely good. The car could be made super light, and all the guys cut the roofs off them, so you didn't have all that extra weight up there. And I remember fighting those guys at Charlotte for the sprints, and it was just that was a kick-ass car. You could fit all kinds of tire under it too. Yeah, that was another big thing.
Only problem was it didn't have a roof, and every time I got in it, it rained.
It rained.
So every time I said I would not drive it again until they put a roof on it, and they got a piece of Lexan and put on top of it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because those cars were pretty cool looking too. So I never understood why they didn't really catch on better.
Because it's a Ford.
Well, all right, besides that, I mean, I'm a bow tie guy, so I try not to troll the Ford guys too much.
Well, I mean, the Probe was actually more of a Mazda, but
yeah,
yeah,
they did well, and then the build just caught up and surpassed them in speed, and there wasn't any more you can gain out of them without going in the gray.
Yeah, well, that was an era in ChampCar where guys actually showed up with a car straight off a junkyard or straight off their backyard, collection of cars that have been sitting there for years. All you did was put a cage in it, maybe change the oil, and go racing.
Well, and because that had the 626 6-cylinder, right?
V6, yeah.
Yeah, the V6 out of the Mazda 626s at the time.
Yep. And they were quick.
Yeah.
They were really quick.
Well, that's because the car weighed a ton. So they had to put a
Yeah.
little horsepower in it just to keep it
I
somewhat
think
normal.
they did it with a 4-cylinder at one point, but
Yeah.
it's yeah. But Riley built one.
Okay.
Yeah, good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
That was quick.
Boom pow. They were boom
turning
pow
that one.
surprise. Yeah. Oh yeah. And you could hear that thing just scream, scream, scream.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I remember
Yep.
at Road Atlanta. Whew.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No kidding. Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up.
Yeah. Yeah. It was wow.
You think
So,
you're hauling ass, and you look beside you, and just like Formula One car goes by you. Yeah.
a whole different
Good.
tune. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so now you've moved on. Now you've made that shift to, as you said it, your words, not mine. Sorry, BMW people, the dark side. What was the thought process in making that switch from the Ford to the BMW?
Well, every race we came home from holding our head because a Volkswagen broke down, we always talked about what car we should build to last. And it was a Honda, it was a BMW. That was the ones that were finishing races up front, and they weren't having any problems. And so
Right.
it's just kind of over the years, we never wanted to do it. And then finally, I finally ran into one where somebody said, "Hey, I got an E30, you want it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll buy it." And so I went and bought it, and it just kind of sat there, and wasn't building it. I was still racing the Volkswagen, and then we wrecked the Volkswagen at CMP one year. It ended up in a sand trap and had a busted transmission, and I just never touched it again. So I started building the E30, and that's where we came from.
I shudder every time you say that.
Well,
But
you know what? Like, we watched, and whatever fit, like we were changing wheel bearings, doing the whole like suspension, everything was getting redone, rebuilding transmissions every race. And then you look at these guys, they show up and they don't even have enough tires to compete in a race on an E30, and I don't even think they changed the oil in it, and it's right off a junkyard, and they finish, and you're like,
I know.
that's what I got to do, you know.
Yeah.
So that's where I went.
I think a lot of people go through that struggle of, there's a car I love and I want to race the car I love. And you do that maybe for a while, and then you keep getting beat by the other cars that you might not love so much. And you have that yin and yang. Do I want to win? Do I want to love it? Do I want to win? Do I want to love it? And eventually, sometimes the I want to win wins out. That little guy on the shoulder wins.
Oh, it's one out. Yeah, I'm there now. I've completely gone over. That's where I'm at. So
never going back.
Nope.
So what makes that car fun other than the fact that it doesn't break?
The fact that it doesn't break,
yeah,
and the fact that we can, there's a lot less maintenance on it.
Sure.
I went from being the fastest car driver in the car in the front wheel drive to being now the slowest. And so it was a whole different
mediocre.
Yeah.
I have to learn. And I used to be the rain driver, and now I'm the one that's terrified of the rain. So it's a whole different thing, But,
so you drive that car differently than.
Oh yeah.
I remember Troy just saying you just turn the wheel to scrub speed off, and it's just. He said it was so different than what we were used to driving, that it was fun and fast as hell. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. Yeah. So rear wheel drive, I drive it different. I don't know. Maybe everybody else drives it the same, but it's a different animal from a welded diff front wheel drive to, something with an LSD in the back. So.
How long did it take you to figure that out?
Figure out the driving part of it?
Yeah.
Still learning. We've only actually raced this car. We tested it in South before it was ready, it was ready to go on the track 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then last year was our first year actually racing it, I would say. And we had some growing pains. And then now starting in December, we actually started performing and doing well. So
yeah,
I'm still learning.
So speaking of doing well, you did not beat the Corvette.
No, I needed 2 more cylinders, I think.
It's
fair enough.
But you did finish first in A class and second loser.
No, I was second loser, but there was a C class in front of me too, so they finished second.
But you finished third, right, overall?
We finished third, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I just lost every screen. There we go.
Yep.
Don't click that button.
You should put that on your
that
forehead.
was a hard fight for that one.
Yeah.
We had a lot of unknowns going into it. We had a renter back out. I got another renter. He backed out, and this was all in the week of. And then I finally found another one about 2 days before. Didn't know who he was and just went out, tried him out. He did a great job. And, while we were racing, we realized we didn't have anything for the Corvette. So it was just pretty much pacing, trying to get second place. And that's where we were. And I started cramping up. I had both legs cramping up. I wasn't hardly able to get out of the car and do the fuel stop. There's only 3 of us, the renter, myself, and Tyler, who's my teammate who rents from me. He goes to every race I go to and helps out work on the car. So he picked up a lot of the slack and had to take over one of my stints at the end to finish it up. So, but
what caused the cramping issue? Was it seat position or was it lack of fluids and electrolytes?
Probably lack of fluids.
Okay.
It could have been the steroid that they started giving me. I had a cough that I couldn't get to go away, and they gave me an inhaler, and we're thinking it might have had to do with that possibly. But because I had just started taking that a couple of days before it.
Interesting.
And it, both legs, both feet, and my right hand all cramped up throughout the race.
Wow.
Jeez, that's a normal occasion for me. But
yeah, but he's half your age, Bill.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Stand up and get a cramp. My young wife makes fun of me all the time.
Yeah, and once, if it is fluids, once you're there, you're not coming out of that fast. You can't drink enough fluids the day of to undo that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, the team next to us went and got me some pickles, and it made the cramps go away.
Yeah.
It made them go away, and then right before I got in the car again, I chugged some pickle juice out of the jar and tried it again, and made it about 45 minutes, and I started cramping up again. But I stayed in it both times I stayed in until the end of the stint or until the car broke down. So
you may want to.
So in my MR2, you had room in the footwell to actually be able to stretch and do stuff at dead pedals. So you could do things like a left foot accelerate while the right foot was cramped while I'm crisscross trying to, and but the other car, which shall be named, not named because people don't want to drink, or do you? Okay, the Opel GT.
Drink.
No room in the footwell whatsoever to stretch your legs. So after an hour and 45 minutes, you get the footwell's like this big, and that's it for all 3 pedals. So yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, that's why.
So do you think if you had more room down there that it
I had my left foot under the footwell protection, trying to straighten my toes out while we were driving. So I mean, the toes went like this.
Oh yeah, been there. Yeah, sucks.
So if you ever go to a running store, or they sell like 5-hour energy sized bottles of the pickle juice, but it's like a triple shot of pickle juice. Might want to keep that in the track bag for your future purposes.
Yeah, it was the first time it has ever happened. It was new to me. I mean, I get cramps every once in a while, but nothing like that. It was pretty
interesting.
Brutal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So.
Luckily, the other guys picked up the slack and did what they needed to do, and the team next to us held the fire extinguisher for us. So
cool.
Now you're the team captain, right?
I am. Mm-hmm.
So you pretty much you're keeping everybody going. You're setting up the car. You're pulling it out, pulling it in the trailer, pulling it out of the trailer. You're doing all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So that alone is a full-time job. And then you're put in the car. You're usually, as a team captain, nobody ever cares about you. You're always caring about the renters or whatever. Make sure you guys drink water.
Right.
That kind of stuff. Nobody cares about the team captain. So
including the team captain.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. It sucks. I mean, you're just so focused on your race that sometimes you just forget to eat. I mean, can you believe it? I forget to eat, but drink and all that other stuff. So,
well, we've talked about it before, Bill. It's great to have someone on the team who can be keeping an eye on all of the parts of the team, and I'm not referring to having anything to do with the race car. You know
exactly.
And even if that person has no other job than to kind of keep tabs on who's drinking and who's eating and who's sleeping and all of that kind of stuff, that was what my mom did at the racetrack.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
It's
know.
my wife did a few times, and
Yep.
it was awesome. Yeah, my wife and daughter.
Yeah.
So
So what's left to develop on the BMW? You said you're into your first end of your first start of your second year. You had a good
Yeah.
run with it. What's the next step for you guys?
We got the handling dialed in pretty good. We're working on fuel mileage issues. We're still a little bit down on power. We tried a new intake we made. In theory, it should have gained us horsepower, but we actually lost horsepower but gained torque down low. We gained
Hmm.
about 15 foot-pounds of torque at 3,000 RPMs, but we lost 20 horsepower
Hmm.
up top. So, but come to find out, the coil went bad during the race. In the last hour of the race, it went bad and left us stranded on track. So we're pretty sure that that might have been part of our horsepower loss on the dyno. So we're
Right.
gonna go back and give it another shot with a new coil and see
Well,
if it worked.
in theory, being down 30 horsepower would help your fuel mileage issues.
True. But we were only making it. We made it in an hour and 50 minutes,
Okay.
and under green flag, and we had to come in for fuel. So
are you running an aftermarket ECU?
yeah, mega squirt, or we got a micro squirt in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We went. That was what was in the Volkswagen, so I just used it in this.
I know. And I've said this multiple times. Was the allowance of aftermarket ECUs was pretty awesome. Opened up a lot of horsepower, but it also opened up a lot of broken engines because guys that were, there's a lot of guys that don't understand the tuning aspects, which is one of the reasons I never went to it because I just don't understand it. It's magic, and when if you screw up, I've got guys that just paid me a ton of money to go race, and if you screw up your tune, they might not get to race, and it's bad enough sitting there trying to tune a carburetor, on the Opal. But
What's
fuel
that,
injection,
Bill?
the Toyotas, yeah, and I'm okay at tuning a carburetor,
Yeah.
but the to work with everything else on the engine. But the Toyota fuel injection I thought was just pretty bulletproof. As you can ask Troy, sure you're down 20 horsepower versus an aftermarket unit, but it might not be
Well,
20 horsepower, but that sounded like a good number to pick.
well, 20 horsepower was from 6,000 to 65, which we're never there anyhow. We shift at 58, so it really didn't affect us too much. I think in the power curve we were down 6.
I thought E30
So
shifted at like 8.
not mine. So
It might shift at
somebody
8
else's
once.
might, but not mine.
It shifted at 8 one time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think in the logs I saw a 7,000 shift at some point in there. So with the rev limiter being at 65, I imagine that it was a misshift. So
Well, we were logging, speeds, and your 140 miles an hour was pretty damn good.
yeah.
I'm kidding. That was
My 30-gallon fuel cell, right?
So any issues this weekend other than that? No on track issues, people in your way, anything?
Well, so I went off twice off the end when my foot cramped up in turn one. Came back on track and went on. I went right off the little
The runoff, yeah.
runoff area. When they ran into a orange Miata one time, or got ran into by orange Miata, and we were disputing the call with the footage.
Yep.
And while we were disputing the call with the footage, the driver comes on the radio and said that was my fault, and he ran in the back of the Stug
Right.
and booted him off the track. So we got one of them penalties back because the footage showed what it was. And then at the same time, I was up there with the race director. He's talking about running in the back of somebody, so it didn't look too good. But he apologized, and he was flustered. He was being black flagged for the one contact, and I guess ran into somebody else at the same time. So
yeah, because he said that. Yeah, because we were like, because I do the log, so I'm trying to figure out, well, which incident was this? Because now we're mixing up incidences, and there was a lot going on at that moment, but we ended up getting it sorted out. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, but I think that was the only contact we had was right there. Then the coil broke down 45 minutes from the end and left us stranded for, I think we were 9 laps up on third place. Got towed in and replaced the coil. came back out and finished the race in third. So
Did you know what the problem was?
no, we had to troubleshoot it. It just kind of caught me off guard. I was out there and it just completely died, and I was trying to get off track, and then I smelled smoke. I was sitting in the grass, and I was more worried about making sure it
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
catch on fire. So once we got back in the pits, we figured out that it had no spark, and we tried the ignition control module. Didn't work. Then we tried the coil, and it worked, and we fired it up, and Tyler got in the car and went back out to finish the race. So
Was it dark out there? Because it looked dark from where I was at.
only on the left-hand turns. Our corner light on the left was pointing a little high, so you couldn't see the apex on left-hand turns. The rest of them we could see. It was kind of like daylight. That was one thing we learned back in the Volkswagen days, was trying to run a 24-hour race or a night race. You couldn't see with the non HID lights.
Right.
So then we got some $high lights, and it looks like the sun's rising when you come around the track now, and it's well worth the money we spent. So.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of what we did. Though there was a lot of people, especially those. Remember back in the old days, you had the Saabs, and some of them they removed the whole hatchback, so anybody with lights would come up behind them, and you could basically, see through basically X-ray them as
Mm-hmm.
that's how bright our lights were.
We used to take a piece of Lexan and put tent on it, and we'd insert it in the back on the roll cage at night, so it would block all the stuff, because you weren't allowed to have tinted windows on the actual car, but you could put something on the roll cage, and we tinted the roll cage. Yeah. They never said anything about it. Now, whether or not they could see it, we made it fit. It had like a notch cut over it. It would just go right over there and
that's
hook
actually
on.
Kind of cool. That's a really good idea. I did. I had a section of tent, a little rectangular section of tent that I would just put on the outside of the window at night. It just, when they're washing the windows, I just put that tent on there, squeegee it out real quick, and it was in the perfect spot for the mirror. And that was it. It was just a little square of tent, and it worked. And then we tinted the put window tint on the mirrors, and same thing. You could do it during a stop really quick. You just had pre-cut ones and just go for it.
I didn't think about putting it on a mirror. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, because it was, you get blinded, and we had big mirrors because back then we just did. But yeah, we get blinded by mirrors.
Well, interesting. Yeah, I always thought about having, those wink mirrors and having two different sides. So you just two wink mirrors, and then at night flip it to the other side and have the other side all tinted.
Ed just brought something up. So we give 10, I think it's 10 champ bucks to a team that gives us a tech tip. So you just gave us a tech tip for that insert.
But we have to play the music. If we don't play the music, it doesn't count, right?
Sure.
Play the music. I want the money.
Well, you'll get the money. This is just my favorite music. So whenever I get a chance to, and there's a headbanging portion. Here comes the headbanging portion. Okay, thank you for appeasing me.
So, Lexan insert behind your roll bar with some tint on it. That's tinted, and that would decrease the amount of light that's reaching your rearview mirror. So that's actually a good one.
Yeah, love it. Learn something new every day.
Yes, we do.
So, especially when I'm not that smart to begin with, it's easy to learn stuff every day. So what's up next for TATR Racing?
You're gonna get me in trouble.
Yes, I am. That's my goal.
Yeah, I don't normally tell my wife that I've signed up for a race until about 2 weeks beforehand. So if I let the cat out of the bag now, I might not show up.
She's not listening. The wives don't listen to our stuff.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, then in that case, we're signed up for the 24, because the original deal with her was I had to finish 2 races in a row and actually show that the car would make it.
We can send you a letter. We can send you a letter home. Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Adam has finished 2 races
in impound.
That's right.
In a row. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, we finished the North course in impound. So we'll we're getting there. So I think we're going to try the 24, try our hat at it, and see what happens.
Oh, they're easy. Easiest race you
Yeah.
can go to. Trust me.
Well,
Yeah.
I've done a few of them,
And you're
but
still young, so
yeah.
it's they're easy.
Well, I'm used to working at night anyhow, so that's when we work on the car. With little kids, I have to wait till they go to bed. So Saturday nights
Right.
we go 8 o'clock to 3 a.m. and work on the car,
Right.
and that's kind of what we do to, not mess with family time and all
Right.
that. So
So
Yeah, I don't remember my kids
what
growing up, so
what I've and they're better for it.
yes, they are.
So what I learned from doing the 24 with Bill and the gang on the broadcast side is it's really helpful to get a renter who's from Australia, and then they're on the right time zone to do all the dark hours.
Yeah.
And that's always helpful because
A person like Ed from Miami, because Miami, they're up all night,
that's true.
discoing and stuff like that.
Mhm.
That's always a good thing.
That's true.
You
Just
know,
start stirring
David
the
Twatty,
mojitos, and everything will be great.
Well, I'm gonna have to find some people because my driver pool is pretty small anyhow. So it's me and Tyler at most races, and one other person is kind of how we do it. So we're gonna start looking around, see what we can find, and go from there.
Well, there's
I bet there's a lot of people out there looking to drive some E30s, and
yeah.
that's the hard part is finding the people that will return it in the same shape that you gave it to them, unless you tore it up.
Yeah, that's mostly in the Volkswagen world. Most of the time, we ended a race with a renter in the car with some reason or another. So
Yeah.
whether it was running into something or money shifting or what they were going to do or breaking axles kind of thing, so off of curbs, but
Right.
most of the time that was the problem.
Right.
So finding the right people are hard
Yeah,
to
that's
do.
hard. Yep. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what we had a really good Troy Troy actually with Troy Trulio from Biohazard was actually really good at pre-qualifying a lot of these guys for us. So it's like, yeah, we got some really good racers from him, and he got a few from me too. But that's the hard part is finding out who's going to return the car in one
Right.
piece.
Well, you mentioned you had a couple of people back out on you on this last race,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So when you go on that last minute, try to find someone to fill a spot, are you basically at that point just kind of crossing your fingers and, pulling out your rosary and hoping for the best?
I call everybody in the phone book.
Yeah.
I ask people for renters that they've had in the past,
Okay.
and this one was actually Justin Gavin passed them along to me, and I found out that Justin was using me as the vetting process for him for the 24.
Okay.
So he used my car as the test dummy.
Oh, so he
But
wants this guy in the car for the 24?
yeah, he's already signed up for him. So, but he did good. He did really well. I was impressed with him. So he didn't. He brought it back in one piece, and he was pretty quick. So
Good.
Yep.
Well, if there's anybody out there who wants to run the 24, who's got a little bit of a resume that you can get vouched for you, look up Adam and give him a call. So
How do they get a hold of you, Adam?
Facebook's probably the easiest way, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Not today.
Adam Johnson. Yeah. Not today.
Well, tonight it's working tonight.
God, it screwed me up today. I had so many meetings and so many, everybody I was contacting was, through Facebook.
Yeah.
And yeah, when Facebook goes away, it's like, how do I contact them? So yeah, that's why you got your notification a bit later because I didn't come back on until probably 4 or 5 o'clock. So
Yeah.
So we discussed this yesterday. I said, "Oh, I'll get you tomorrow morning," and yeah, that didn't work out.
Yeah. Too good.
Yep.
Any sponsors, friends, crew members you want to thank?
Yeah.
Wife.
My wife. Yeah. Number one, my wife, right?
Yeah.
And then my dad. I mean, none of this could have been done without him and his knowledge and backing for this thing that helps me out. So the shop is a sponsor. The company that I work for helps sponsor it some too. So it's American Landscape Supply Company.
Nice.
And then Tyler helps me every Well, not every Saturday. Every time I work on a Saturday night, he helps me with the car, and he's a big help. And so, yeah, that's other than those couple of people, that's about it. And then the people who rent seats. So
Very cool. Very cool. Anything else for Adam, Mr. Bill?
No, I mean that's about it. Really, it's good race this weekend. I watch it from a screen, but the marching ants. That's how I watch the races nowadays. And I only go by numbers. I don't go by team names. But it was fun to watch the 442 do its thing out there and battle up there. And I was wondering if I was thinking if Eddie Vedder had an issue,
mm-hmm.
and the race was extended 4 hours, you might have won this race or second.
He could have had a wheel bearing issue earlier in the race, and we might have had a chance.
He could have, yeah.
Could have.
Yeah.
It's a Corvette,
Yeah, but he wasn't all that fast. He only did a 118. So
yeah.
Yeah. It
I
was
heard he had a 30-gallon fuel cell too.
Yeah, I keep hearing things like that too.
Yeah, I saw something
usually from Paul Cruz.
I saw something, I think, on Facebook. Someone mentioned, has anybody fuel tested the whatever?
Yeah, I let that one go through. Yeah, I figured, let's see what happens.
I looked at it. It seemed legit from what I saw looking at it.
Yeah,
It's
those
just a light car. Yeah, and they seem pretty nice. So
for one thing, those guys work in NASCAR, and or they work in the automotive world. And if you get caught cheating, something like this, what we do just for fun, it's
right.
like that's your reputation. Those guys have a pretty damn good reputation. So they've been doing it for quite a while. So
right. So
yep. So well, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you here maybe soon. Depending on what your wife allows you to do.
Depends on if she watched the show or not. That's what we're gonna get. Yeah.
Nobody.
Does she know how awesome you are?
Oh yeah, always. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, I'm always awesome. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. So. And the key though is for you to remind her how much you believe that she is awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, is that what you're supposed to do, Brian? Here, let me write that down.
It is. Yeah, take that, Brian's notes for keeping happily married.
Yeah, I'm on my third, so this is probably not a good thing to ask me. So.
But we should not be going to. Bill's good for MR2 advice. Bill's good for Opal advice. But there's certain areas where we should probably go to someone else for advice.
Stay away. Yes.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me. It was fun. So
we appreciate you being
back.
here. All right, Adam. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Adam.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
Oh, you said you've got some stuff you wanted to chat with us about, Bill.
Yeah, let's talk about the race first. We were just at VIR, the 12-hour, which is we do this once a year, about this time of year. Eddie Vedder, the Corvette, won its second race of the year there. Kind of in a, I think some of the quicker cars at the beginning of the race, RVA Graphics, they stayed ahead of Eddie Vedder. They had an incident at turn 12 or 11, Oak Tree, and put them into the wall and took them out of the race. And then by that time, Eddie Vedder had already put a few laps up on the third place car. He inherited that lead and maintained that multi-lap lead and just made it better throughout the race. Strokin Checks Racing and their BMW 325i, second place. TATR Racing, Adam Johnson, who we just spoke to, captaining that boat. They finished third. Maximum Effort Mazda Miata in fourth. MDR Motorsports Porsche Boxster in fifth. I thought they would have been winning. Really pretty car.
Yeah.
MTD Racing's Mazda Miata in sixth. RVA Graphics and Wraps, their new car, brand spanking new car, in seventh. And Clapped Out Racing's BMW in eighth. And another Mazda Miata in ninth. That's the M2R. And Orange Crush Racing's Mazda Miata in 10th place. So lots of Miatas and BMWs up there with a Corvette and a lone Porsche.
Yeah.
So good race. But, we had a bunch of off-roading incidences, a lot of spins, just really weird stuff. But one of the things that Chelsea and I talked about the last couple of days was how can we we've worked really well at keeping the contact down. So
Right.
how can we work at keeping some of the other stuff down? The tearing up of tracks, hitting walls,
Sure.
costing teams money. I mean, we just got our bills for the Road Atlanta race yesterday. I sent out those to the people that it concerned,
Right.
and it added up to a pretty good number. A few $1,000s.
Yeah.
And one team had some big numbers, and we also had the track damage at this event was not all that much, a few $100, but still it's money
Yeah.
that teams are having to put out because somebody decides to push the limit a little over.
Right.
But so we've done a few things. We're really going to focus, and this starts today. This weekend at Harris Hill, we're going to really watch exceeding track limits. So you put you start taking shortcuts through the grass, then you're going to get penalized. How much you're going to get penalized, that's going to be up to the race director for that race. For exceeding track limits, 4-offs. We are going to really push the 4-offs now. 4-offs, driver change, or I wrote that down wrong. I gotta review this with her. And again, these are still kind of moving around as we go through through the races, but we're gonna change. We're gonna change the rules. It used to be like 4-offs, and we're gonna bring you in and see if you're all right or whatever.
Right.
But we're going to start bringing you in a little earlier. We want to make sure you're not driving a little faster than what your car can handle or the track conditions allow. So we'd rather catch it before you wreck your car, causing damage to the track or even causing damage to your car.
Or
Two
causing
offs and
damage to yourself.
yeah, and to yourself. So 2 offs as well.
Yeah.
We're going to be watching those carefully, and that's going to be up to the tracks. Fuel leakage on track. This is immediate, and if you're reported dumping fuel on the track, there's no more of this. We'll wait a few laps. You will be black flagged immediately. You're going to get a real flag. You're going to get a Flagtronics flag, and you will be brought in and told to fix it before you can go back out. We've just had way too many fuel cells leaking everywhere. Fuel caps not being put on properly. There's just too many safety issues with that. Plus, you're tearing up the folks' tracks. So that's going to be put to an end. Immediate black flag and FT200 black flag for fuel leakage.
Right.
Mishandling fuel on the pit lane. This is a discretion of the event director or race director, but we're talking about dumping fuel all over the track. That's going to be a 1-lap penalty. You need to pour your fuel into your car in a safe manner and not have it spilling everywhere. So we're going to be watching for stuff like that. Unsafe fueling, like visors up, the equipment not properly on. Again, that's going to be at the discretion of the race director, but that's a 1-lap penalty. So we are really going to start enforcing this stuff. Refueling outside of the hot pits. If you're fueling your car, you had to go back to the paddock and fix something real quick, and we catch you, or you get caught, because members let us know about this stuff too, that somebody was fueling in the paddock, then that's a automatic lap. Passing under yellows, we're talking about drive-throughs, and that's still at the discretion of the race director. Now, you can find all of these penalties that Chelsea and I have spoken about with our race directors over at the logs, the race logs.
Mm-hmm.
We have a tab that says penalties, and we've kind of laid them out, what's going to happen. Passing under code 35s, you're going to get a drive-through again, and that's going to slow you down. And when we say drive-through, you're going to stop and talk to Jimmy. It's not really a drive-through. You're going to stop and talk to Jimmy for a minute or two before we allow you to go back out. Passing under yellow with a red cross, the safety scene, that's going to be 1 lap, driver change and counseling with that driver. So you pass somebody near the incident, you're going to be pulled out of the car and probably report to the race director. Speeding code 35, pit lane on the warning on the first one. We're going to, and this is kind of what we do now anyway. The second penalty will be a 1 lap, and the more you get, the more laps. Failure to pit after receiving a black or mechanical flag, you're going to get driver counseling. Second offense is you're done.
Yeah.
So no more of this, hey, just let me go find it. Stay out there until I find out what's going on. No, you better pit now. She's tired of that. And you need to pit now. Just any other series is like that too. You get the black flag, you better report now.
Yeah.
Am I right? Yeah.
Oh no, yeah. You know, most series you get maybe three showings of that black flag, and then you're probably done for the day at that point.
Weekend, yeah.
Some
of them are weekend.
You don't want to mess around with that black flag.
Nope. Black flag is always used at the race director's discretion. So it's a serious issue. It's just not waived because we like doing it. We're also going to be looking at, no jack stands under the vehicle while the crew is under the car fixing it. You're going to get a warning, and then at the discretion of race director, a lap.
Right.
So it's this is some serious stuff. The violation of the changing and rotating or tire changing and rotating rules in the hot pits. If you decide to break the rule, which is one gun, there's one electric gun, one person changing tires, I think that's it. Whatever the rule says. Again, I got to read them just to verify what that is. But you'll get a 3-minute hold at pit out. So you do make sure you read that rule book to know what those tire changing rules are. Contact. Your automatic 1 lap for contact. That's staying in effect. Contact and bump drafting. That's going to be a warning. So any bump drafting is a warning. Second offense is 1 lap, with the exception of a Daytona. Daytona, no bump drafting is allowed at all. If it's attempted, you will be black flagged. And all the corner workers are going to know this.
Right.
So, don't try and get away with it, because you're actually at some of these tracks, we have camera coverage on all the tracks. So we can see it. We can even replay it back for you if you want. Let's see. Contact side to side. We will basically continue doing what we're doing, which is basically send a pit marshal to both teams to determine the fault and then make a decision there. Sometimes it is a racing incident. There was no way to avoid it, and we understand. All of us are racers in that tower, so we kind of understand. But don't push us.
Yeah.
Other violations are at the race director's discretion. Penalties may be increased for multiple infractions. Incorrect Flagtronics minimum firmware. That's going to be a drive-through, and the firmware must be updated.
Huh.
So if for some reason you get to the track, I wasn't able to help you do the updates, and you weren't able to do them for some reason,
right,
and you get on the track with the incorrect firmware, we're going to black flag you.
Sure.
And you need to come in and fix that. So that's, everybody wants to get their tires, the proper tires on their car. They want to, have the seat belts all set up and ready to go, and their cool shirts and all that stuff. Well, Flagtronics should be at the top of that list. The reasoning for that is that will become our timing and scoring setup in the future. So you will have to do this consistently. You're going to have to do it yourself. So and some of these big races like Daytona, where we have over 100 cars, it's a lot of work,
right,
for us to chase everybody down to make sure everybody has the right firmware. So these smaller races, like we've had the last couple of races, myself and a few of our team were able to go out and make sure everybody was. So, but we did have a team start. They showed up late, and I could not find them in a paddock. And I think they had a local garage, so they were doing everything there. And then they drove over and joined the race, and they didn't have the correct firmware. So it's little things like that you guys have to do.
And can you see that on your Flagtronics monitor?
Or
how do you know that they don't have the right firmware?
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it up in the tower.
Right, that's what I said. Okay, cool.
Oh, so I'm sorry. Yeah. I can see everybody. The track director software report, which is what you're watching on the marching ants.
Right.
But I can, and there's a little screen off to the side. It tells me everybody's battery levels and their firmware versions, and as long as you're 7.0.0 and above, you're good to go now. And I think we're up to 7.0.1. So anything over 7 or 7 and above is good. Anything in the 6s, that's not good. So
do you put in the subs what version of Flagtronics they have to have for that particular weekend?
Yeah, and you can go to champcar.org,
right,
#race, and that will take you right down to the all the race information for this weekend, and that lists what the minimum version of Flagtronics is on.
Great.
So
yeah.
And then also fighting on pit lane in the paddock. That's membership suspension. Nice. So we're really going to not that we're going to have
fighting
fights.
Is
we
nice.
have had no, and I jokingly put on there one day. I said, fighting in pit lane without ChampCar Live camera there. How many points? And Chelsea was he didn't laugh.
Yeah,
she did that mom look like really. Yeah, and I felt like. So, but
we joke about this though. But for the first time as long as I can remember, I've been at 2 races in the last couple of years where there was actually a physical altercation at the racetrack. Maybe the world's changed a little bit, but I can't remember that being a common instance until more recent times. I mean, yes, there's a lot invested in time and effort, and we are in love with our cars, and we don't want to spend any more time fixing cars that we don't have to. But gosh darn it, we are doing this for fun. This is
gentleman racing.
It's supposed to be it's supposed to be gentle person racing.
Gentle person. Sorry.
Exactly. I live in California. I have to say things properly.
Yeah.
But no, I'm serious. We're supposed to be out there to have fun. And, stuff happens, but no one should have to worry about taking their helmet off after they get out of the car because someone might be coming for them.
Yeah, that's why you don't take your helmet off.
Not until you make sure you look around.
Get back in the trailer.
Yeah.
Did I piss anybody off?
Exactly.
I just remember getting out of the car. I got shoved off my first, I think it was a second or third ChampCar race at Sebring on the club course. And this guy that had won I guess not at that point, he hadn't won the Rolex 24. He had been racing with a Mustang team that's friends with now, but at the time he shoved me off the track.
Yeah.
And I thought he did it on purpose. And I was ready to fight when I got out. And he was sitting on the picnic table right next to where we were paddock.
Yeah.
And he just big old smile on his face. And, I can't hit somebody with a smile on their face, ready to be my buddy. The hand, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't see you. And, I didn't have my mirror. And I said, you didn't have your mirror because it's sitting in my passenger seat right now. Which it was. It sucked because every time I took a corner, that thing would go.
Did you charge him to get the mirror back?
No, and of course, a year later, 2 years later, he goes on to win the Rolex 24. So
all of this info you've been sharing with us, there's a place where I can find that, right?
Yeah, champcar.org, race control logs. You can scroll down to the links and just look for race control logs 2024.
Yeah, but there's another important thing that people should take a look at, right?
Oh, the rule book?
Yeah, what's that thing called?
The BCCR. These aren't in the rule book, so we don't really put the penalties in there because we leave it at the discretion of the race director.
Right, but it does say what you shouldn't do.
Yeah, kinda. But yeah, don't hit shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that I've kind of asked for years to be put in writing so that we can, every racer knows what's going on.
Right.
What's different about ChampCar. And this is one, I think this is some of the things.
Right.
I don't know how some of the other series are doing things, but this is a way we're going to do it. And if you have any concerns about it or any go to the new driver meeting and listen to what the race directors have to say, and you can learn a lot.
Right.
So, and it's something that at least you should go once a year, maybe twice a year. Even if you've been racing with us forever.
Some people should go every weekend.
some people every weekend. Well, the other thing, too, is if you race in multiple series, just go to our race to get a refresher to understand how we do things. Because we do things differently. And that's said multiple times on the social medias.
Well, and if you're a team captain like Adam, who's bringing on renters, and at
Oh,
the
yeah.
last minute bringing on a renter who he might not know exactly what this person has done. It's smart, in my opinion, if to make your renter go to a meeting like that.
Yeah.
Make your renter look at the logs and see these are the real consequences of what can happen if you screw up. Make your renter read the BCCR. Thank you, Timothy, for throwing that in the chat.
BCCR. Yeah.
And just as kind of like a checkoff to say, these are what we don't want you to do, or what we do want you to do in some cases.
Yeah.
But it's a responsibility of the team captain or the car owner to make sure that the people getting in the car know what's going on.
So as I got the bills for the Road Atlanta race yesterday.
Yes,
the
I saw one
post-race
of them.
Bills, the same. Yeah, somebody posted that up.
Yep.
And then the race for at VIR, we got that like the next day. Atlanta took a month, but some tracks are like that. They just it takes them a while for it to go through each department and send us a bill. But there's some tracks where we get it before we even leave the track. So that's kind of part of my job is I start sending out bills, invoices to teams. And as a team owner, we want to save you money. So part of that is don't wreck your car, don't hit stuff, because it's going to end up costing you. And that's one of the reasons we're doing some of this stuff, some of these rules. The tracks don't like it when they go out Monday morning and to inspect their track for some big commercial that's coming in, some commercial shoot coming in like the following day, and they've got to paint dirt and, fix all the spinny tire marks out in the grass.
Yeah.
That's, and every track is like that. So we've decided that we are going to, be a little more strict on what you can and can't do off the racing surface. And that's the issue. You have to stay on the racing surface.
Right.
We understand if you lose a wheel or your steering wheel pops off in your hand, something bad's going to happen. We understand that.
Yeah.
But you have to keep your working car on the track.
Right. It's funny, when it rains at Buttonwillow, we get lots of wet grass and mud, and I always say on the broadcast, just keep it between the white lines. So almost every track, by the way, has white lines. You might not notice it. So much so that our pace car driver came up to me during lunch and said, "You keep on saying keep it between the white lines. We don't have white lines." I said, "Go out there and look again." And he came back that night. He goes, "Holy cow, there's white lines around the whole track." Yeah. And I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't just make that up."
We did the VIR 24 one year with they had just repaved it, and we were the first race back, but they had not had time to put the white or yellow lines around the outside of the track. Yeah. So at night, remember, the grass and the
looks very similar.
It looked similar. Yeah, you could not really tell the difference. But that also goes back to everybody's lights back then really sucked.
Right.
So it's funny. Yeah. Well, hey, guess where I'm leaving at about 4 a.m. this morning or tomorrow morning? Harris Hill, Texas.
Harris Hill.
San Marcos. We're headed out there for an 8+7 hour enduro. Jackie Sides will be running that race. Always a great place to go to. I love Harris Hill. It's a great little country club track. Lots of elevation change compared to some of the other Texas tracks we go to, and it's fun.
Yeah,
great little track. People there are great. Probably one of the best little restaurants on track.
Really,
in the country. Oh yeah,
as good as Hallett.
Oh, best Mexican.
As good as Hallett.
Hallett's good, but I think it's better.
Okay.
I think it's better. I do like Hallett's food.
I particularly love the family who runs the Hallett. I don't know anything about people here at Harris Hill. I'm sure they're wonderful people, but the family who does the concession stand at Hallett are just they're the nicest human beings in the world.
Yes. And those wishing us to go back to Hallett, we're looking. So
all right.
And if you kind of want to go back, let Chelsea know. info@champcar.org.
Yep.
Let us know. We spoke to a track today, and I won't say where up in the Northeast, but we spoke to a new track that we haven't been to forever.
Right.
And, it's an exciting track, and we're waiting to get some more information from them, but the meeting went really, really well.
Nice.
And they've heard good things about us, and so they want us to come back. So
Very
that's
cool.
always a good one. I won't say who it is because it's still negotiating,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So we go to, like I said, Harris Hill this weekend. Good car count. Could be a little better, but it's a good car count.
Okay.
And then Jimmy and I head our own separate ways for a day or two. I think he's going to Bowling Green to do some sightseeing.
Okay.
And then I'm going to see my sisters. I haven't seen my sister in like 20 plus years. So
Wow.
I'm going to go see her up in Oklahoma City where she just moved.
Great.
And then we're all arriving on Thursday to Bowling Green for the national championship at NCM Motorsports Park. Remember, arrive there early so you can go visit the Corvette Museum, which is always a great little visit. Last time I was there, they had the Rat Fink display.
Yeah.
If you old guys know what Rat Fink is, that was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
So those I had Hot Wheels of some of those cars. That's how cool that was.
Nice.
So we're off to there. Lots of good teams headed out. We got national champion, which is Rockwell Racing Enterprises or RAD or Rockwell Racing Development. Well, Auto Development, something like that. RAD, yeah, Rockwell.
Whatever that
Rockwell's
stands
there,
for.
our national champion last year, so he'll be there defending his title. Lots of people want that number one.
That's right.
Speaking of which, I need to get that panel painted up. Right, taking a note.
Taking notes, making notes.
So, making note. So the winner gets the golden number one that they get to put on the side of their car to proclaim that they are the number one car. So
and they get to do that for just one race, right?
Oh, they get to wear it all year long.
I knew the answer.
All year long. And it's winner take all. So it is a Parc Fermé. We've had a few questions about how do you say Parc Fermé or what is Parc Fermé or what the hell are you talking about? Kind of stuff. So Parc Fermé is basically we do the 8-hour race during the day, just like any other race. A couple of 10 minutes or so from the end of the race. Actually, I'm going to read you what Chelsea sent me. But no, it's going to take. But he'll send out an email to all the captains, and it fully explains what we're doing. But about 10 minutes before the end of the race, we'll put it under full course yellow, take the pace car out.
Yep.
We'll bunch everybody up. We'll bring them back down pit lane. We're going to stop them at a certain point. You will get out of your car. We will go red flag. Everybody out of the car, they can pull out their cameras, their digital cameras, their cool shirts so they don't freeze or whatever. I don't know if it's going to be freezing, but they can pull that stuff out and their data and go
away.
Back to your go away. And they lock the fence. Nobody can touch their cars overnight. And come in the morning, we open up the gate at a certain point.
Yep.
Everybody will be allowed to go out to their car, refresh their ice and their cool shirts or whatever. You cannot check oil. You cannot check water. You can't do any maintenance on the car whatsoever, with the exception of adding ice to your cool shirt and putting your data back in your car.
Right.
Obviously, you want to put a driver in the car.
Well, I mean, that's optional, but it'll help you if you want to win.
Yes. And put your driver back in the car. Anybody can go back in that's on your team. There is the driver distance sort of reset. And you go out. We'll send you out past, with the pace car. You'll do one lap. At the end of that lap, that pace car will pop in, and we're back to green flag racing. You're welcome to fuel once that one lap is done, taken. And if for some reason your car has run out of fuel on pit lane, you have to wait until that flag goes green and the first car crosses the start finish line before you can start working on your cars. If you decide to work on your cars overnight, you can come back and race, but you're automatically put into the EC class.
Okay.
So, everybody's under Parc Fermé, not just the championship folks, but it's basically a 15-hour race. So,
right.
Right. And then we do that, and we are back to racing. And the winner at the end of the race is the national champion.
There you go.
That's part of the championship. Sorry, I should.
Yes, you have to be championship eligible.
Yes.
It's kind of like
the winner. We're going to have a separate trophy for first place, that are non-championship. So
right.
So it's a race within a race.
Right. So very cool. Very cool.
Yep. Paulie will be there doing the show. So, and Tiffany Alexander will be on board I think Tiffany will be there for that one. not there, but I think
Right.
she'll be online.
Part of the broadcast.
She might have had a chin track day or something. I forget. We went
Right.
over the schedule recently, and
Yeah.
but yeah. So it's going to be a good weekend.
Nice.
And then we have a little bit of time off before we do Daytona. We've got a wait list of 37 or so cars. We did have 2 dropouts that I know of, and so the first 2 got put into the race, and hopefully for those guys waiting, we'll have some more dropout over the next couple of weeks. So if you are on the edge of, will I make it? Will I not make it? Let us know. There's a lot of people that did not make this race, and they went in it badly, and maybe you can work a deal out with them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
All right.
that.
Anything else?
I think that's it. I think you need to get to dinner. I need to get to bed because
Yeah, you got to get to bed.
6 hours of sleep, maybe.
Let's say hi to Timothy Elliott, multi-crazy car. And way back at the start of the show, using the Wayback Machine, I believe
I saw Fred Wolf.
There was a Wittenauer in here.
Yep,
2 Wittenauers.
Yeah, Kelly was in here, and I
Yep.
think John came on a bit later.
Yep. So thank you to all of you in the chat.
Yep. And speaking of which, if you're looking at we're going to be doing a some small championship races. I've still got to get on that. We've been busy doing the financials and some other stuff, and just like nobody wants to do this stuff in the off season. It has to be right now. So we're going to be doing some championships. Nelson Ledges, Mid Ohio, Pittsburgh are going to be part of a championship series, and there's going to be some really good prizes and really, really good trophies.
Cool.
So let's get signed up for those races. You got to do all of them, and let's see some numbers get up on all 3 races. We're still sorting out how we're going to be doing it, but it's going to be at least those 3 races, and we may do some in some of the other regions as well.
Cool.
So let's get it going. If we decide to do them, like if we include Harris Hill, let's say, we would include your points that you already got on that this next weekend. So
fantastic.
So there we are.
There we are.
Okay. All right, Brian. I will see you next week from sunny, not tornado-y, Oklahoma City.
That's going to do it for another episode of Inside Champ Car. If you like what you hear, subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel so you won't miss any episodes. Share it on your social media channels. Comment on the Champ Car Facebook page. And we will have a new episode next week. He's Bill Strong. I'm Brian Bielanski. You are listening to the Racing Wire Podcast Network, and you are watching Champ Car live on YouTube. Have a great week. Go play with cars.